Hi there, this is Fixed It. I've been given one of these Disney clocks to look at that seems to have stopped ticking. It ticks for a few seconds and then it locks up, so it's obviously getting jammed with regards to the mechanism. It's 1.5 volt battery, so I'm going to take it apart and have a look to see what's wrong. It was working perfectly until it was dropped and then it stopped ticking. So what I did was undid the back of the unit and took off the hands of the clock, and then I've prized this out of the back of the unit, and this is the obviously the clock module. What happens normally if you drop one of these is that the little plastic cogs inside this unit get dislodged. A possible simple fix is to open up the unit and realign the cogs. So I'll show you how I do that. Turning the unit over, we've got the battery compartment, and then we've got this little wheel here that's used for setting the hour and minute hands. And the first thing we need to do is to prise off that nice and gently. Okay, so that comes away. Now what we need to do on each side, you can see that there's a clip, and we need to just lift that clip and prise that piece off. So I'll just lift that up at one end, turn it over, lift it up at the other end, and now as you open this, all the cogs are going to start falling out, so you need to be a bit careful. So take that off. They're all apparently in place, which is good. So what I need to do now is to just lift these off, and take off this little piece and lift off the plate. Take out the minute hand, take out the control ring, take out the hour ring, and then take out the hour reset. This is obviously the main unit that's connected directly to the battery by two connectors. So the first thing we need to do is to make sure that that's pushed down quite firmly. And then what we can do is we can test to see whether or not this particular piece is working. Okay, and what we do for that is we grab the smallest little ring and we place that on top of the hole that was there. If I just zoom in a little bit, so you can see that we've got that little ring on there. And then what we want to do now is to attach a battery, and attaching the battery will allow us to see whether or not the unit's actually working. So plug the battery in, and the battery's in there, and now what we want to see is whether or not this is moving. If this is actually wobbling about from side to side, then it means that the main mechanism here is working, this electromagnet is working, so there's every chance that the clock's going to work. If this isn't moving, then unfortunately you may well have a dead clock module. Okay, so we can see that that's moving, so what we'll do is we'll put the take the battery out and then start putting the other bits back. As I start to rebuild the clock module, obviously parts are going to be sticking out through the hole in the bottom. As I build the unit, cogs are going to be sticking through the bottom, to which you'll normally connect the hands. So what I'm doing is I'm putting a little metal container underneath, just so that they can slot in there quite simply. Let's start the rebuild. Well, the first thing we need to do is to actually put in the largest of the cogs, which is for the hour hand, and that basically just slots in the hole. The next thing we need, the part that actually controls the mechanism itself, and basically it goes in the hole at the side where there's a gap. And now what you can see is that as I move these cogs, the two turn. Okay, So these are the cogs that control the hours, minutes and seconds. And then what we need to do then is to put on the one that governs the seconds, and that basically drops in that hole in the center. And when all the cogs are connected, as you turn that, you can see the other cogs are turning. The other thing we need to do is to put in this cog that turns the hour and minute hands when we're resetting, and that basically slots there on that hole, and it should all slot together nicely, so that when I turn that, as you can see, all the other cogs are working. Now what we need to do is to place this part with the long pin down and the curve at the back over the holes, and that should then fit quite nicely and neatly into the part, and everything connects together. The next thing we need to do is to take the main spindle and drop that down the hole, and then take this larger cog with a very small bit on the top and insert that in that hole. And finally we take this small cog and we put it into the section there, and now everything should be quite nicely locked together. Once you've made sure you've got no cogs left, which is always a good part, you then take the back section, make sure it's orientated correctly, and clip it back into place. So now what we need to do is to replace the battery and see whether or not we can hear it ticking. And in fact it's ticking away quite nicely. And I now place the second hand in the center on the metal spike. We now have a fully working clock mechanism. So all that's left for me to do now is to place this back inside the case with the clock face and the glass, and screw that all together, and then I'll show you the working clock. And there we have it. Just by dismantling the clock module and putting it back together again, I now have a fully working Winnie the Pooh Disney clock, which was previously dead. And given that these are quite expensive items, I think it's well worth giving it a try if you one of your kiddies accidentally knocks it off the wall, or it gets dropped, or it gets broken. This has been Fixed It on how to repair a Winnie the Pooh Disney clock by dismantling the clock mechanism and rebuilding it. Hope you liked the video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up and share it with others. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.